Hi, my name is Philip McGee, and I'm a physical therapist that's board certified in geriatrics. And today I wanted to go over my first non-clinical resume. I just finished doing a live Q&A on Facebook in the Facebook group Non-Clinical Career Guide, and I talked about wanting to review my very first resume, which honestly is not that good, and tried to show some of the common errors that I see when I'm reviewing resumes because I made the same mistakes as what a lot of people do. So, this here is the very first resume that I worked on, and I'll go through a lot of the common errors that I see. So, the first error that I see is that after my name, I don't have any indication of what my license is. Am I a PT? Am I an OT? Am I a speech therapist? Am I a nurse? Am I something else? There should be the designation of what your professional title is so that people know right away that, right here, that I'm a physical therapist. They do see when I go to the paragraph about myself that it does say physical therapist here, but right away people should know what your designation is. So I would definitely correct that there would be comma PT, DPT after my name. Another error that I see is that in the LinkedIn profile, there is this link that I didn't know at the time that it was put in incorrectly. But also, the LinkedIn profile, I just went based on what they gave me. You can actually edit this so that it's shorter, so that it's just your name, and if you wanted to, your designation, just depending on how many people are on LinkedIn with your name. But if you wanted to, you can shorten it, and it makes it look a lot more professional. Going down, overall, I don't think that the summary is that bad. I think that there are some objective numbers as to how many years of experience that I have in different settings that I have had at that time. 7 years of full-time home health experience, with 5.5 years being the lead physical therapist. And it does say what I'm looking to accomplish, that I'm seeking a company to utilize my unique skill set in utilization review. However, I think that it flows better, and I see most people put in this instead of bullet points, that it's a paragraph, that it's just written out. You're explaining who you are and why they should hire you. Another error that I see, and I brought it up in the Facebook Live, is that there isn't anything that says what I'm applying for until you get to right at the very end. I'll highlight it. That I'm applying for a utilization review job. Right away, people should know what your resume is for. So I would highly recommend putting up here where you're applying for a job, whether that's utilization review, or in my case it was meant for pre-service coordinator. But right now you have to search to find out what I'm applying for, and you really want it to make it easy on the person who's looking at the resume, because most people are not going to spend more than a minute, and most likely less than that, on reading your resume. It should make it easy. I do think that the font is pretty small. I saved it as a PDF. I don't have a Word document of it, but it does seem pretty small for the font. I recommend it being about 11 point for the body, the different bullet points that you have. I think that it can range between 9 and 12, and you're okay. You know, the different things that are breaking points to point out, like summary or experience, those can be larger, or they could be in all caps like this is to make it stand out. As I go down, I see lead physical therapist, TheraCare Home Health. I think that's fine. I think that if you want to keep it consistent, and I mentioned this in the Facebook Live, is that you want to add, put it in red, you want to add what setting you're in. Oh, I guess I need to draw it. Sorry about that. So you want to put what setting you're in, whether that's here or here, but keep it consistent, because yes, I do have the first 3 companies, they say home health in it, but the issue is that once you get down to some of the other places, you can't really know for sure that when I am at Keck Hospital, am I doing outpatient, am I doing inpatient, am I doing inpatient rehab, wound care? There's all sorts of different things that it could be. So you want to make sure that here you put in, like in this case, it would be acute. This would be acute. This was skilled nursing. So you want to have it where you indicate what setting you're in. Again, make it easier for the person that's reviewing your resume know what you're doing. The things that I see here, there's 6 different bullet points. I don't think you really need to have that many bullet points. I usually tell people to stay around 2 to 5. Usually 5 bullet points, unless it's the first one that you're doing and you have a lot of experience that you want to talk about, you don't really need to have that many bullet points. And if I back out and see it from a distance, like if you see all those bullet points, it ends up just being kind of like a really long Facebook post or email or text that you don't really want to read it because it's just so busy. There's so many words. As far as the different bullet points that I have, that I was the primary case manager for clients without nursing services, experienced with timely OASIS documentation using home care home base, test evidence-based objective measures and document the skilled need for clients, assess need for referral to a higher level of care if medically necessary, coordinates with supervisors, nurses, occupational therapists, speech therapists, social workers, and home health aides to provide optimal care plans. So when I look at that, some of the things that could have been changed, the first thing that I see is that there's an opportunity here to talk about CMS guidelines. So for those that do home health, CMS guidelines are based in Chapter 7. That was a great opportunity that I could have put somewhere in here, whether it's the first one or whether it's the last bullet point, but saying something about CMS or Medicare guidelines, Chapter 7, to show that you know the guidelines for Medicare, because that's really important when it comes to utilization review. The other thing that I see is that nothing here is really objective. So in the bullet points that you have, ideally you want to be able to give quantifiable data. You want to be able to say, for instance, the first one, primary case manager for clients without nursing services. So what could have made that better is if I quantified it by saying that I was the primary case manager for 4 clients per month performing Oasis start of cares. I could have basically combined both these bullet points and said that I did the Oasis documentation timely on home care, home base, and that I did something objective as far as the number of clients that I did the Oasis documentation, something that would make you be able to know this is not just somebody spouting off random statements, but you can actually quantify it. The last bullet point I think is pretty good. Coordinates with supervisors, nurses, occupational therapists, speech therapists, social workers, and home health aides to provide optimal care plans. That's probably one of the better bullet points there. It again could have been improved or enhanced by saying like the number of times per week or per month, or what was able to be improved, whether that's like decreasing number of visits by 20% during the meetings, just having something that would quantify what you're trying to say. As I go through, I would say another issue on the second one is that this is an old job, but here I say proficient in documentation of starter cares and expertise in providing medically necessary treatment. I would say I would make that past tense so that only the first job, the present job, is something that's in present tense. You should try to make it into past tense for the other jobs. As I go through these other ones, I see this common issue of repeating myself, and other people do this as well, where I say evaluation, treatment, and discharge planning of patients in the acute care setting. Well, the acute care setting could have been here, and if I needed to, I could have combined some of these other bullet points. And I say that here. Whoa. Sorry about that. That there's, I'll just double highlight on that one. I say skilled evaluation treatment of clients, blah, blah, blah. I say that frequently, and you don't need to keep repeating yourself in your resume. If you need to try to change it up so that it just doesn't seem like you're saying the same thing over and over again. Experienced in acute care. There's nothing wrong with talking about what settings you did. Again, if I were to do things over again, I would put that up here where it's consistent with all the others. I do think it's good that I put in objective numbers as to the number of students that I had as a clinical instructor. I did that in also this other one as well, that I was a clinical instructor for 4 PT students. I think it could be enhanced by saying if there was something that I did in as far as being a clinical instructor. But overall, I think that there's just a lot of repetition about collaborating. What I would do is look at the job description and try to implement those words along with all the different bullet points. So reduce the number of bullet points, stop repeating, and try to incorporate what is in the job description that in this case I was applying for. And as I scroll down, projects, I don't necessarily think it's bad to put that. I just think that there's better space. I think that the text size is more important to increase the size of the font, that you can be able to read it better instead of having it to zoom in to see it well. The education is fine. The certifications, those are okay. One thing that I noticed is that I didn't put where I have a license, what my license is. It is, you'd presume that I've said that at the top I'm in San Antonio and that my job is in San Antonio, Texas. So you'd presume that I have a license in Texas, but I think it's a good idea to put a license that you can have it as license and certifications instead of having it just as certifications. I think it's okay to have like a board certification. I don't really think that the advanced credential exercise expert for aging adults, I don't think that that's really that necessary, because it's not where you really utilize that. I mean, I would try to justify it, at least in my mind when I wrote it, that I know objective measures better than most clinicians, but it's kind of space that could be taken up by something else. As far as coursework, most will not have coursework that really applies to the non-clinical job. I have seen common errors where people are putting all sorts of different continuing education courses that really don't apply. I would say, unless, in this case, utilization review, unless it applies to what you're going to be doing. I think that the overview of critical areas in home health and explaining that, it isn't bad, but it's not really that necessary. The putting the advanced credential exercise expert aging adults, I already said that up here. I think if I'm going to keep it, I'd just say it once. Again, repeating, it's not really necessary unless it's something that is in the job description and you want to repeat yourself there, that's okay. And then I put at the bottom skills. Overall, I think that you'd want to put the skills typically up toward the top so that people know. Either I typically see it after the summary and before the experience. If you wanted to, you could put it at the end. It just doesn't seem to be common from the resumes that I'm used to seeing for non-clinical resumes. This is an opportunity for skills to put in all the different things in the job description. So if you aren't familiar, JobScan is a good option if you haven't used that. That will provide a lot of keywords that need to be put in there. I was told to put in word cloud. I don't know, there's just something about word clouds I don't find very helpful. I have recommended to people word count, that you can just copy and paste where the job description is, and you can see all the different words that they use, so you want to try to apply those. But you can, instead of wasting the space here as having just these words, these could be spread out by having little markers. I guess I can try to draw it since it's a PDF, but having the word, then the line, and then the word, then the line, so that it doesn't take up so much space. And I would increase the font and I would move it up here. So I hope that you've found this helpful. There's other areas if I really wanted to critique this more harshly, but these are a lot of the common errors that I see, and just know that I made those errors. I'm still the same person. Your resume isn't a measure of your worth. It's just a tool that's used to be able to tell people about yourself, because nobody really is going to know what you do or what you've done other than what you put in your resume. So if you're interested, I do resume reviews. You can go to nonclinicalcareerguide.com, and I will also post a link down in the description if you want to have a resume review. I also do practice interviews. If you're interested in doing a practice interview, same thing, go to the website. I'll also provide a link. If you don't feel ready for either of those, I do have a free ebook that's on my website, and I will link it down in the description. And I really do think that most people that are applying, that they genuinely have good experience that they can put on a resume. It's just a matter of trying to avoid these errors to make it a much better resume, to pass the applicant tracking system and get your foot in the door. So I really appreciate you watching this video, and I hope that you found this valuable. Please like and subscribe if you did find this valuable, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.